Welcome, ladies and I am Lee D-Man Smith, and joining me is Lauren Pansy Scott, and we are down to the final map of the grand final at the ESL Meisterschaft. It is taking part live on stage in Duisburg. Unfortunately, you only get to see us and not the stage, because that is happening on the German stream. We are the English stream for this, and as you can see, it is Inferno. It's been 16-14 in the last two maps. Let's see if we go the distance once again.
Well, it's the big question, isn't it? And well, the knife round has gone down, so we are live into this one. Mousesports starting on the T side, Killerfish on the CT side. And I'm looking forward to this one getting underway. So we have a massive stack up second mid for the Ts. I wonder if they're going to wrap back, or if they're going to actually commit towards this A side.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out for them. I was going to go through the rosters, but this one's pace has definitely quickened. Tony's about to get very busy. Doesn't manage to land the opening frag that he needed there. But look at this. They're trying to wrap around the straight back of him here. Don't think they're going to be expecting the man coming up second mid, though. We do see one in pit. Ammo's not going to manage to land the frag. Oscar does find Legija, but he's just about to land the frag, but that's about it. 1 on 3. Don't think this is going to be anything spectacular. It will get taken down, and Chris J picks it up. Now, Inferno, it was the map we saw earlier on. I was just thinking, I've seen this before from mousesports. What was it? Yes, it was a 16-1 victory for them against MyKPV in the semi-finals.
Chris J has a shotgun.
Well, things Chris J does, I guess, maybe? I don't know.
I just want to see where he takes it. I don't even know. Like, it's baffling. I don't understand CSGO, but maybe Chris J does.
Oh!
Gets nailed to the wall. So
maybe he doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. 3v3 now, and actually the CT side invested quite heavily. They've got CZ's armor, and Oscar and Tarsin still on the B side. The A side is open as Tony just went down, but towards A. I think they might have an idea now. Oscar, though, does push down. That's the bomb as well. He's going to spot that, and that's huge. Yeah,
he's going to try and smoke it off and try and cut them out. Trying to rush up. Doesn't manage to close the distance in time, though.
Tarsin's read it right.
He's going to wait. Nico very low on health as well. He's going to get taken down. It's just Legija to the left.
Two flashes.
100 HP versus 100 HP. Legija. No. Oh, Legija's managed to pick up the bomb, and he's making tracks. He should have plenty of time to get around there. No doubt about it. And if only I was quicker with drawing. Unfortunately, I'm not.
It's quite difficult.
Drawing is hard for me, apparently. Instead, Legija will get around. It's going to be the bomb plan, but this should not be happening. Killerfish, I think they 4-man stacked onto B. I didn't quite catch a glimpse of how many it was. I was so focused on watching Chris J. They read it perfectly.
Definitely did. And now
we saw him.
Legija does have the weaponry and deals with him. Got a little bit close at the end then, but well dealt with.
So, 2-0 Mousesports. In case you have just joined us, ladies and gentlemen, we did have the first map, 16-14. That was Dust 2. It was actually Killerfish's map choice, apparently, but Mousesports came out on top. It was definitely one of the big maps for them. Mirage, second map, that went 16-14 to Killerfish. So this has very much been a close semi-final. Quick roster for you. Tony, Ammo, Robson, Oscar, Tarsin for Killerfish, and of course for Mousesports, Legija, Tabson, Chris J, Nico, and Cobb B.
Right now we're seeing a very aggressive stacked out ACT side, just on those pistols, trying to do some sort of work, but Chris J is just going to add bank basically right now. These guns just give you so much money.
That was, I was trying to get to him. Tarsin actually went very deep and pushed down there with the pistol. I think they were expecting something. Yeah, Tony getting tagged up as well, so they knew he was there. They're chasing him in towards apartments. I feel like he's ready to pop around this corner. I'm not too sure if he's going to. Keeping my eye on Tony as well. Oh, look at that. They're trying to hop in towards him. But he's tagged, backs away. Doesn't get caught out, though. But Ammo's going to have the information in there. They're pushing in towards him. The rotation's already coming on. We do see Robson and Oscar. They're making their way around.
This should be a clean round. They know Tony is still here, so they should check. Yeah. And Nico will. So this should be very simple for them, as the last two players have absolutely nothing. One P250 shouldn't work. And you can see with rifles like that, they can keep them at range. Nicely well played out with the items they had, basically. So I think we're going to see a pause actually coming in for Killerfish. I think Ammo's just going to reconnect. So not too much to read into this, basically. It's a T-side, start. If you get that first pistol, you generally will work off the back of it really comfortably. And we've seen it here now. I had ghost steps, so when there was a bot previously in the game, there's still a CSGO bug that I think we're all aware of if you play matchmaking, where you can hear just the steps of the bot after it's dead. So that'll just be fixed, and we'll be back into this one. But still, nothing to be said, pretty much. It's, Killerfish were very close to turning one of the rounds. And now we're going to have to see what they can bring on the first gun round. Because to be fair to mousesports, they didn't do anything spectacular. It was just simple, basic play.
Oh, not even that. They actually almost lost the second round as well to the Pistols. They went down to that one-on-one situation. So it's far from a clean start for mousesports, but they've managed to get the 3 rounds on the board nonetheless. And as we can see, looking towards the scoreboard, no one really running away with it. Nobody going crazy for Mouse. And more importantly, there's been kills for Killerfish. So they're going to be able to get themselves pretty much a full bite on this one, as you would expect. Fourth round, 3-0 down. We can see them there. That is the guys on stage in Duisburg. Duisburg. I can never get it. German names, they're hard.
Yeah.
It's got one of those little umlas in there, I think, on the U. I think that's what throws me. Not sure if it should be a Duisburg.
It's quite chilly out there right now. They're all wearing the jumpers.
They don't seem as wrapped up as they were earlier, though. So I don't know whether it's warmed up on stage or whether they've managed to get some sort of heaters up behind them.
Maybe.
I can see a big giant pipe going along the back there, which looks like some sort of form of either heating or air conditioning. But Chris J's still wrapped up. Look at him. He's still got that up. He actually had the hood of his hoodie and the coat up earlier on. So he was like a little Eskimo playing in there. Oh, well, clearly they're feeling it. They're feeling the cold, clearly.
Yep.
But here we go. Back underway. Let's see how it works out for them. And it's going to be 2 members. It's going to be Tony and Oscar. They are the B defenders. Everybody else on A.
And Chris J sticking with the Big Mac Daddy. I'm sure. I guess if he gets him money towards the AWP, and why not? And look how aggressive he is. Oh. And it works because, CSGO these days. But he does switch up towards the M4, so at least he does get a slightly respectable weapon. But
he's got a second.
Exactly. It doesn't really matter. Chris J is just kind of stretching his legs here, but maybe not predicting that Oscar is still so close by.
Yeah, they just ran through B site, and I think they were just motoring straight round to A and completely ignored the fact that, hey, there may be a second guy on here. It was Oscar. He's got support. It's still doable. Oscar manages to find a second. There's Tabson going down. And with that bomb plant in there, there's actually
nowhere near.
Yeah, but they're going to get around the back of them here. Chris J is going to hop around. He's going to find... No, it's not going to find Tarson. Nico now. And that's suddenly that they shouldn't... They're in a precarious position. They should never have been in. They will get the cross in the end, but that was mousesports, I feel, being a little cocky.
And this is what generally costs them games. We saw it in the last map, and I will stand by my statement that they kind of cost themselves. Looking at that round, the plant they had wasn't even ideal for where they were situated, pretty much, apart from God B, maybe. He was on Banana, but it wasn't great, and Chris J still with a MAC-10. And why not at this point, though? Because he's got CZs against him. He should be able to rip him to shreds, but actually, no, goes down. But Tabson and God B are there. They pick up the pieces, but will they expect Tarsin? They stacked 3 onto B this time, so that might catch him off if they commit.
We see it so often, I'm tempted to call it the Freiburg flash now, because I've seen it was obviously him and Get Right, really the highlight play that made it work out when he popped around the corner. But so often we see it now with Pistols that they do pop around and they do get the kills. This time Tarsin just doing it on his own without a flash. Can he get a second? Not going to work out. Expecting him this time around. And that should be a B plant. The last man... off in good position. Well, I say that's actually a horrible position with a pistol. It's completely open, yeah. I was about to say good position, but I was like expecting him to edge around to the first box, but instead just stood there at barbecue. And well, he's going to back away. Robson's rotated, but everybody's left him. Doesn't matter. Nico still picks up the kill. 5-0 for Mouse, and a risky pistol, I think it's safe to say, up against there for Killerfish. Killerfish proving that they are not going to be beaten quite easily by Mouse. We'll see.
I was kind of hoping that Chris J then with 8k would go back to the MAC-10.
The MAC-10.
Does finally opt for the AWP, and we will see Tony on the other side. Tony going to be going for the classic peek from CT Arch, it seems. So we might actually meet Chris J here in this little exchange. We'll see. Nice little flash to ward him away. Give early control towards mousesports. Get them kind of with the, let's say, more aggressive peek, basically. So you're holding the angle. Which is quite rare, obviously, on the T side. So you're kind of giving that utility over towards them, which is always really quite well thought out. However, look at Legesia. They're so well up towards A already. They're getting such ground covered. Legesia, there's a wall there. However, the rest of the side are going to start pouring through. They've actually got control over towards A so early on, just by smokes and flashes, but now they need to get the kills.
Well, No, he knows Ammo's there because he's hearing all the footsteps. He knows that here's them pushing out there. Now he's going to come around. Will find it. Nicely pushed. Everybody coming out together, but they do manage to get Legisia down. But he has support, of course. They are all on towards A side. It's a 3-on-3. We do have Robson coming around on quad. Oh, I felt he had to make that shot land. Now they know his position. They're going to molly burn him out there. Tabson's going to get him down. And now Tony, he's going straight into Moto. He's going to push into smoke. He's got Oster in support.
Yeah, Oscar, though, kind of in a corner. He's going to at least find out towards Tabson, and they're going to make a play out of this, and they're going to make it work. Tony takes down Nico, now got B, 1v2. Bomb is planted. He just needs to stay alive. He can't manage it, and Tony doing the miracle round then. 4 kills, back-to-back almost. Oscar just about locking down quad. And you cannot depend on one man to do that every round, but sometimes it is nice when...
Because I was in the same situation. I was like, well, I'm trying to cover the camera. There's no point watching Tony. There's smoke. Nobody will come around that smoke, but he managed to just linger in that smoke, pop out, get the shots, and as you say, he picks himself up 4 in the round. And more importantly, the first round for Killerfish. And that was fantastic stuff. But, of course, mousesports having picked up those 5 rounds previously will easily be able to just buy straight back up. But it's definitely going to slow their pace down a little bit here.
Yeah, last time they had easier control in apartments, which kind of allowed them to push up towards quad, and they had to smoke down on CT Arch. However, Tony this time is actively holding it, so they can't quite get there, and Legisia's being a little bit more cautious toward those apartments, as there was a player on Maniac spot. I think it was Ammo. But still, they're going for the same thing. But let's see how they now deal with Tony. As last time, Chris J went actively for the peak. This time, mousesports lock it down. This is the difference between the last round and this one. But how do they deal with Tony? It's still a question. Re-smoking CT Arch. They're trying to tease someone into peak. They're not even committing just yet off the back of it. This is really smart.
Tony's been drawn towards apartments, and rightly so. There is 3 members stacking up there. It's going to be Legisia that comes jumping out first. They are going to catch on towards Ammo. He's burnt out and shot out. Tony's going to get pushed. Legisia will find that one. Nico picking the last one up, and now it's just Robson all alone. Going to go for the save, so it will be 6-1 to Mouse. When he's trying to pick up some exits here, he's going to sit around the cart, cover himself off while the rest of Mouse go hunting.
But let's just kind of look back at what we really saw onto the A side then from mousesports, because it was just such a nice execution from start to finish. They completely negated any presence that Tony could have had with the AWP then. Not only there was a double smoke committed towards CT Arch, so he could never make a play from there initially, which allowed them control over quad. They got the kill first. Obviously they take down Robson too. However, they got the kill first by a slightly aggressive peak. And off the back of that, they also smoked kind of the library peak that then Tony would go to. So everything Tony was going to do, they just kind of met with smokes and play in really good power. It was just nicely done.
Mac 10 again. Chris J. We'll see what he does with it.
I guess if you can't afford an AWP, buy a Mac 10.
Buy a Mac 10. It seems the default, maybe. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it's because he's got the curse. He's just like, I want to use my gun. Make it usable. But Robson, of course, with the pistols, they are going to go and try and be aggressive. See, Oscar almost like to call this the Carrigan spot these days. He goes there that often.
The one thing I will say to Chris J's use of this, it's generally when he's up against a CT side that doesn't have much weaponry-wise. So, in theory, it's quite a smart purchase. But if he reads it wrong by a touch, they are absolutely screwed. However, reading it right so far, he gets himself a big boy gun and gets away. So, really, they've left Ammo on B. Ammo last time, I think, played around quad, so they might be a little bit cautious, but Chris J was aware, locked it down. And it's just smart from Chris J. I guess it's almost like the Tech 9 purchase, but a little bit more powerful, right? So, for example, when I look towards one of the French teams, who was it? One of the players will literally opt to stick with the Tech 9 over purchasing a questionable AK.
Apex? Apex. Shocks.
It might be Shocks. I think it was. Yeah. Especially on Dust 2 and maps like that, because he's so confident that he can pick up a gun that's lost, either on the CT or T side. So you can kind of see it there with the Mac 10 in a way.
Well, Tarsin
Look
again.
at the stack.
It's the second eco going for Killerfish. Yeah. This time, like you say, they're stacking in apartments. It may well work. Tony gets one. Legisia will push on through. Robson's going to be the final line of defense, but Legisia's just running on through, padding those stats. And it will be Tarsin last minute. Gunned down by Nico. So they actually lost 2 people with that little apartment stack. It was just a straight up pistols. 8-1 though for mousesports. More importantly, that's the big score that's starting to develop here for Mouse.
And I almost think the Killerfish planned the first 2 and then they just hoped they didn't need the third, because they're being outclassed on every front. They're not even being able to stop them down, slow them down. Once mousesports gets going, they pretty much have control of what they want, and it's just a really bad display from Killerfish, if I'm honest. We'll finally get to see them on a bit of a gun round. They've seemingly never been on a gun round at this point, but I still just have to say mousesports are just outplaying them right now.
Tabson goes. Second chance of Askin, didn't manage to land it. The nades keep following through the support that he had behind him. But Oscar does get out of there. He's got Tony with him. Oscar's going to go for a second peek here. The flash comes out from Tony. So manages to get himself in sandbags. I'm not sure if they expected him to get around there or whether they actually saw him creep around. They did. The fact that molly went down. Oh, and Tabson's just completely cleared out the B-side defense. I don't know if they realize how clear it is, but Killerfish, instead, they're going to try and go aggressive. They do get Nico down, not before he takes one out. And, well, this is going to be a simple pickup for mousesports, you'd assume.
Exactly. Look at the position they're left in. Whenever they get a couple of kills, they're not relevant kills almost. They're on the wrong side. They're in the wrong place. And even Legisia's still lurking. He can hear these guys running around. So he knows that, okay, Tabson, be careful. There's probably one pushing down mid, or they're holding close. Legisia gonna find one. He'll probably look towards quad for the other because he heard him earlier. You know, it's just simple for mousesports. They're playing at an international level on this map, whereas Killerfish aren't currently. And this is the big disparity. I hate to say it. Yeah, you could say T-side is quite powerful these days, but they're just being outplayed on CT.
And there comes Legisia. Knows that he's there. They have the exits covered. He's just going to try and hover himself in the corner, and he will get gunned down. So it doesn't even manage to hold on to the AK. That's going to be 9-1 for mousesports, and as you said, playing at an international level is absolutely what they have to play at. Of course, they will be taking part in the ESL ESA Pro League, which begins on Monday. They are one of the 12 teams that managed to get in there after their amazing performance at the ESEA finals.
Very true, and I think this is what we can see, because, let's be honest, Dust 2 and Mirage are almost negated when you have such close teams, or at least Dust 2 with these two. However, this is a map that you probably won't want to play mousesports on, because they're actually very good internationally at it as well. However, compared to the bigger teams, you'd say not that good. You'd never say, okay, then the next Fnatic on this, not at all. However, in comparison to just that kind of matchup within the region, it's a big disparity. So the opening kill at least does go towards Killerfish, but look at that, Tarson's down to 5 HP, so they could work something back in. But this is the first test for mousesports.
Let's see. Of course, it is just a mishmash for Killerfish with those 3 FAMASs. We can see Oscar on your screens just with the CZ. And they're hoping with Legisia down and a 4-on-5 they can try and draw something out here. But mousesports, the second they lost that man, they slowed everything down. No rush, no reason to charge in, no reason to lose their heads. And Nico, once again, is going to be the man that's going to push out into quad.
Killerfish are playing so passive right now, and it's fair enough, but I want to see those smokes go into practice. They still have 3 available, and I can imagine they could be using it like Tony was alive almost on this site. And well, Flash comes in, working the way up quad. It's the same execute time and time again, but Tarsin is in a good spot, but completely negated. They push past him, and it's just a bloodbath. Nico's just going for a walk and taking heads with him. And once again, mousesports steamroll through. Tony, hey, he gets 1 down and maybe gets a gun, but what else is he going to do here? Surely this is not even possible, and it's not. Nico shuts him down, and mousesports are just walking all over Killerfish, and there's no nice way to put it.
I don't know whether that flash that came around Arch just completely distracted them, because they all turned and looked that direction. It was like prairie dogs. Everybody just turned straight away and looked there. So, oh, someone over there. And they completely ignored the fact 3 people were pushing around quad, or whether they were expecting flashes to come from quad as well, and they were maybe just trying to back away. You never know with these teams, but they definitely got completely caught out, like you say, by Nico. Just came straight around and got himself very easy kills with their heads turned. We are going to see aggression from Killerfish this time. Tony's going to try and push on down Banana, but, well, it's just being red, and there's grenades. They're going to force them back. Smoke's going to clear off, and mousesports just, they wait for the smoke to clear. They sit back, hold defensive positions. They're in no reason to rush.
See, the thing is, I look at Killerfish, and they're trying to play almost like a TSM style with those deep smokes, that Karrigan thing. But there's a reason that TSM can pull this off, right? Their players are of an extraordinary caliber. You can't just try and replicate and hope that it works out, because now Oscar's solo on B, which is fine because no one's taking any consider to it. But if he dies, that side's completely open and no one is close to rotate, excluding Tony. He's the closest and he's at CT Arch. So it's just these kind of small things that become imperative for bigger teams that the Killerfish don't seem to quite have just yet. However, deep smoke towards Pit comes through, but they're faking it out a little. But will they commit? Look at this. The smoke's all over the place. Tony is the one who needs to make the difference here. Nico just around the corner. He's going to spray down. Nico gets it. Boosted up onto quads. Nico's found Robson as well. This guy is just making such light work of the opponents. And this reminds me almost of Mirage with those executes. Faking out the timing with the smoke, and then just trashing him. And look at this guy. He's just pinning him to the walls. He's bored. He's just going to be doing this time and time again. 3 kills back-to-back. Oscar's still on B. Tarsin's behind him, but the bomb's going down.
Uh-oh, Nico's hunting. Gets himself the 4th. Can he make it the ace? He knows where Tarsin is, and he's going looking for it. He wants the ace, and why not try to go for it? Tarsin will pop out. There it is. Nico picks up the ace. And honestly, it was a well-deserved ace. He cleared out that top of mid, no problem.
And the sad fact is, Killerfish then had the opportunity. They had the stacked site. They had 4 players on that site and only 1 on B. So in theory, they should have done it. Nico is...
It's just miles ahead of everyone.
Yeah.
Loving it.
But this is what I'm saying. It's like they're just being outplayed on every front. Individually, as a team, the only thing that could stop mousesports right now is them getting a little bit sloppy. And I hate to say it, but there's no disputing the fact that Killerfish are just being outplayed.
Only thing that can beat Mouse is Mouse themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Tony's going to be a little edgy. Pops out. Nagija waited, though. Waited it expectantly. Tamsin, meanwhile, pushing up through the smoke, and it will work out for him. The flash following that smoke as well is exactly what you need. It's going to cover off CT's side. There is one man there, but he's already being pushed. He gets flashed. Tamsin finds the second. And now Robson smoked off. He's going to be forced to go through construction. Finds one. Can he get more?
Well, he's going to have to if he wants to stand a chance here. They're finding a good spot. That bomb is in a very awkward predicament, but Robson pushing towards the smoke, gets down one. Nice spray, but not nice enough. God B slaps him back, and now Tony very close to the smoke's edge will push in and will be found by Chris J. Another round that seemed a little closer, but not quite close enough.
That's it. 12-1 though. T-side half for mousesports is becoming almost unsurmountable for Killerfish here, as it did against MyKPV. That's proving, really, when they went 16-1 against them, and I think it was a 14-1 first half in that, and then they went on to win the pistol, which you don't generally look back from. It is a dominant performance here on map 3. It's been 16-14 the last 2 maps, but this one is going to have to be an almighty performance from Killerfish in the second half if they're to pull anything back.
And the thing is, Nico's such a young player as well, 18 years old, coming into the scene, and he's just making such a big name for himself here. Time and time again, steps up and just does what he needs to be doing. And well,
so
again,
close.
Yeah,
so close.
So close yet so far. It seems to be the story for Killerfish in this map.
Yeah.
And they've tried to adapt. Look, Tony's now on towards B. Oscar's still there. They switch things up. They're going to try to maybe put Tabson and Ammo, Robson and Ammo, used my words, on towards CT Arch, and then Tarsin back in pit. But I don't know if it's going to change anything.
Well, they've boosted up Tony here, who has sadly not been able to get hold of that orb at all, really, in this CT side. And again, another slow play from mousesports. This is almost becoming standard for them. Navi style. Take their time, work their way in, get a couple of picks, and then just pile on through to site. And it looks like it's going to be a B push.
3 players there. Nico and Nagija still by A, but as you said, Tony was boosted up early. This could maybe work. It's a spot that can pay off, but Chris J doing that is going to make it almost impossible. Tony nearly controlled that recoil well enough to take down Chris J after Tamsin, but not quite there. And the 3 players now have to deal with Nico, who's lurking in the background. And, well, Ammo's still trying to challenge. He will take him down, but you're left with 2 players, 1 out of spot, and Tarsin has to go big.
Tarsin, well, he's just got a grenade land at his feet, so that's the end of that. Oh, and, well, Ammo did get picked off. Meanwhile, trying to back away, Nagija found him. And again, it's going to be another round for mousesports. 13-1. Tarsin just going to hang on to this for mass.
I hate to say it, it's so anticlimactic with the third maps always going this way, it seems, isn't it? It's like the first 2 were incredible, and I almost hoped it was one way or the other, because you look at Inferno as being like this last-ditch attempt for maybe Killerfish, but they fought so hard on Mirage, and they actually punished the mistakes the mousesports were making. But now, I just hope people don't forget those first two maps, because if this overshadows it, Killerfish's reputation will be substantially less than what it should be. They played toe-to-toe with mousesports in the first 2. But this is just not their map.
It may have just been one of those things when they when they didn't get Dust 2, which was their map choice. They maybe saw when the map pool came out, they're like, if it gets to Inferno, we are pretty screwed because we just know Mouse are better than that. And you know, it could be the mental thing in the background, who knows. Got beat, trying to keep them at bay. Tabson did get caught out down the bottom of mid here, so the aggression this time from Killerfish did pay off. They did manage to get that one kill, but that is just about all, and they're going to have to make tracks and step away.
And it's always interesting to see now how mousesports work themselves back into it. They go back to their default of hitting A. They go quad, I can imagine. They'll do the same set smokes, or will they? Chris J, he's looking at CT Arch. I don't like change, Chris J. It confuses me, but a beautiful flash towards deep and towards CT Arch. Not going to give him full control, though. He's holding the Arch angle. Robson going to back away.
Close.
Exactly, but Tarsin goes hunting. He could be caught out here, but he does get one. 1-for-1 exchange, good information gathered. Keeping the one-man advantage in the CT's hands. But where is that bomb going? God B is out of there. They're leaving Legija here again, kind of negating his presence, but Oscar and Tony need to now lock down B, and damn well.
Oscar! That flash was on point, but he did manage to do the damage. That stopped him in his tracks, and again, the rotate comes back. Legija finds one. For some reason, trying to push down mid. Robson is the man. He's not had the greatest finals of his life, honestly. And still, he's not doing so good. He knows they're there. He knows they're on porch. This is doable. The bomb gets thrown down, and they still haven't checked his position. Oh, but he showed himself. Didn't manage to land the frag. Like you say, 2 seconds to plant it. I think he's going to get it. He got the plant in there. Oh, dear. What could have been for Killerfish? And that seems to be really the story of this game. God
B then, buying just enough time for that plant. Most players who are in that spot would not be peeking when someone's planting, but because it was like the risky last second plant, it was 4 seconds a minimum time. He committed so much, got 3. Like, that wouldn't have worked without him doing that. Godby is a huge player right now, whether it be in, you know, the first map, if you look back at it, it was massive. Second map as well. Performance. He stepped up on the first half at the very end. But now he's finding that little bit of form, and you can see how well this team is coming together for mousesports. For me, this was just seeing where mousesports is at. Let's be honest. These guys are meant to be an international team, and currently they are performing like one.
Yeah, they are performing fantastically well. And I think I was watching, obviously, Face It earlier, and they're talking about how teams of the higher caliber should dispatch of teams very quickly. And mousesports seemingly do that when they are in against the lower caliber team. They don't mess around. They get a little cocky, but they do dispatch of them very quickly, and it seems to be working well here. Killerfish, though, in the pistol, are going to come out on top, which is a glimmer, the slightest of glimmer. I'm not going to go overboard on this one because it is 14-1 after all, but it is a little shining spot in a big dark cave.
That's a push. Hey, there's always the theory of round by round, and you never know what you're going to get. But the problem is, okay, see, that theory works well, and I hate to say it, but it's like, at this point, round by round is fine until that one mistake that normally you'd have a round to fall back on. One player makes one mistake and you're done for. And even players at the highest of calibers will make errors, and that's what will cost a game here. Simple as that. You can have that perfect mindset, but one player error and you're done for. However, on the other side, very clean eco coming out for the CTs. A couple of deagles, 2 to be precise, but no armor, no smokes, no flashes. Let's see what they can do.
Nico trying to delay it. Legija does manage to land that deagle. Nearly took his teammate out there as well. Oh, Nico does go down.
Tag.
Legija got beat, comes in support, does manage to get in there. And they've got 2 kills, and it's gave Killerfish second thoughts. They're rotating. They did manage to get the man that was pushing behind them, so they know that they've got clean entrance to this site. Tabson's going to push on round. He gets caught out. Godby last man. And this should be the round for Killerfish.
Should be. I almost worry now, but no, it will be. It will be. Godby does get a gun. I can imagine he'll probably say. I don't know how confident they are at this point, but to be fair, that got far too close. Considering Robson was so low, that could have been one deagle hit and he's dead. And it's like, that's the difference there. It could have completely spiraled. However, whoever was holding Ace solo, I think it was, them going down basically brought the game back on. But still, that was an eco, and they took down 2, near on 3, and almost got the round. So it'll be 3-14. mousesports have 1 AK on them. Assuming Tarsin doesn't magically find God B. He shouldn't do. God B is fairly safe right now. And let's see what sort of buy mousesports go for, if at all.
Yeah, I think they're going to wait again. Yep, it's going to be just P250s.
Yep.
So let's see. Godby's obviously the only man with that AK. Let's see what they make use of him. Is he going to go standard spot? Yeah, it's just going to be standard defensive spot. Just got an AK. Little glimmer.
Not so standard. Straight in towards second mid, clearing out.
Ooh. Almost paid off. Almost paid off there. Got a good tag on Tarson. Meanwhile, back at B, they are going to play it slow. So Oscar's just waiting around there, of course. Just pistols holding.
Oh.
Tarson's the man that got tagged up, and he's going to be pushing through apartments. He's only got 46 health. If he gets taken down, that's going to give another AK across the mousesports. This is risky play, being that solo lurker. As he tries to come around while the rest of his team, while they're stacking up, Nico gets a smoke down, buys himself a little bit more time. Chris J's about to find Tarson. If Tarson looks, Tarson's given the word and said, you know what, it's pretty clear, guys. Come on in. The rest of his team are on the rotate. Chris J just waiting. Not showing himself. Tarson should see him any second. That Molly's going to further out. Oh, he can't hide. He can't hide. He has to run out. He got one running out shooting. Managed to get one down. Tabson also got a second as well. Tarson's still low, though. Catches a glimpse of Tabson. Godby's managed to get one down, making use of that. It's a 3-on-2. This is dangerous for Killerfish. It's just Robson left on site. They got the plan down, but he has to hold off mousesports. They're pushing from every angle. He's got nothing to do. Nico's going for the defuse. Godby gets him, and mousesports come out with a round, and you gotta wonder how.
Godby, bit of Chris J. I don't know.
I mean, Chris J was literally like, I'm burning, I've got to run. It just ran in a straight line firing and still popped ahead. Unbelievable.
That was pretty impressive. But that has taken mousesports now onto match point. That's the more worrying thing. A round like that, the difference an AK can make has literally got them onto match point here. And Killerfish, as you said, one mistake. That whole round was that one mistake. And now they're going to pay for it. Let's see how aggressive if mousesports are going to be. Are they going to go for the win here? A bit of BM to it, or are they going to play it slow, cautious? At the moment, quite aggressive on Banana.
They know he's there. Look at this. They're just raining the nades on him.
They were lucky that second one didn't connect so well.
Going to try and flash him out. They're going to force him. He's in trouble. He had no support from his team because he was cut off. And already mousesports looking confident.
And you can never blame them. That's the thing. They look confident for a reason because they're looking so damn good throughout this entire game. So for me, this is looking a little bit worrying now, and I don't think there's any other way to look at it. Maybe they can pull something back together here.
Well, they're going to trade weapon because, well, he's just got 16 health left, so the Galil goes in the hands of Ammo, but Ammo is bottom fragging. Not really the man that's going to make use of it, and he goes down instantly. Oh, another drops. Tony comes around. Tabson finds him. The last man standing is Robson. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. 16-3, the final score. Mousesports are the ESL Meisterschaft Summer Champions. Or Spring Champions, I'm not too sure. The graphics can conflict.
Spring. We'll say spring.
We'll say spring. We're going to go with spring. I don't see anything anywhere else. But nonetheless, this is going back to what you said earlier on. You know, 16-3. It was a big score for mousesports, but let's not take anything away from Killerfish. It went 16-14 in both the first two maps. It was very closely run, but it just turned out that clearly on Inferno, mousesports are far superior. There you go, mousesports on your screen. Clearly happy with that victory, and more importantly, back to being the German champions.
They certainly are. So really proving how good they can be. And that final map was basically the, sealing the deal more than anything, showing that, yes, we can play our own countrymen just as well and at an international level. And yeah, that last map, they just kind of started to really step up their performance. And there's no two ways of putting it. They just went above and beyond whatever Killerfish could do. But as I said, Killerfish should be remembered on their first two maps, not the final one.
And that does too, could have easily gone their way. And I would actually argue probably should have gone their way. It was a mistake they made, just as the mistakes were made by mousesports on Mirage, which is where Killerfish managed to capitalize them. But Killerfish, probably unknown to most of you guys at home if you haven't really followed the German scene, but definitely putting themselves out there. They knocked Penta out of the tournament as well. They topped the group that Penta were in. Penta, of course, very well known, but there you go. Trophy. I thought he dropped it from me. I was like,
Hey,
where?
Godby's got style.
I was
This
like, where
man
you going? Just
hey, not only can he shake hands, but he can also pick up trophies like a champion. So that's the main thing about Godby. So well
thankfully, it's not one of those trophies that the team can't pick up. I'm not mentioning any other esports out there, but yeah, quite happily. And well played to mousesports. So get themselves effectively their first win as this new lineup. And really very well deserved. And you got to look at some of the changes they made. You know, obviously Godby joined the team just before the Katowice qualifiers. It wasn't to be. They didn't get through to Katowice, but definitely a team in the making. Nico coming in there. Well, he just proved it right there. He was incredible for the mousesports.
Yeah, Nico, a very young player coming into this scene, doing wonderfully. And, you know, mousesports, they're with their home crowd. And what a way to pick it up. So congratulations to those guys. Looking pretty formidable throughout all of this. And I can imagine they'll have a few drinks later to celebrate.
He's a giant, isn't he?
Whoever that is massive.
He is massive. I mean, Chris J is...
Poor little Melly is like tiny compared to these
Chris J is about my height. He's about 5'12", I would say. So that guy's like easily 6'5", 6'6".
mousesports have employed
6'7".
a giant to overlook their opponents. Maybe it's how they're going to get into the heads of, you know...
Here's a question. How's he going to interview? Is it going to be in German or Turkish? They could both do both.
That's true. They can do both.
Yeah.
I, however, believe it will be in German.
I'm pretty sure it's in front of a German crowd.
Yes.
But Godby, you know, very well played to mousesports. Really, congratulations to them. They well deserve the victory.
Yep.
And that is it for us, ladies and gentlemen.
Pretty
I have
much.
been Lee Smith. Of course, you can follow us at FollowDman and at They Call Me Pansy for Laurent. It has been a fantastic final grand finals, I should say. I wouldn't say the first semi-final was fantastic because, well, it was a stomp. The second one was pretty close, though. Killerfish came very close in their game against the Plain Ducks. Thank you very much to the teams that compete, and thank you very much to you guys at home for watching. We'll be back on Monday with the ESL ESEA Pro League. It's going to be starting at 7 p.m. Central European Time. That will be the first match. If you want to watch the pre-show, then tune in 15 minutes before that, and we'll cover all of that exciting action. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and good night.